Frozen and desperate, the alien whispered. Human, save me, I'll never leave your side. Beneath the pale twin moons of Zyra. The ice plains stretched endlessly white and silent. The wind howled like a grieving spirit tearing through jagged ice spires that rose like broken teeth from the frozen ground. In the heart of this wasteland lay a crater still steaming from a recent impact. Smoke curled from the wreckage of a small vessel, its hull cracked open like a split seed. Inside, barely breathing, was Lyra. She was not human. Her skin shimmered faintly silver under the cold light. Her long limbs slender and graceful even in stillness. Two large eyes the color of molten gold blinked slowly against the frost gathering on her lashes. Her breath came in shallow puffs that turned to ice before they could vanish. She had fled her homeworld to escape the Krell, a ruthless empire that harvested sentient beings for their neural essence. Now stranded on this frozen rock with failing life support and no signal, she knew death was close. Then she heard it. The crunch of boots on snow. A human woman emerged from the blizzard wrapped in thick thermal gear, her face half hidden beneath a fur-lined hood. Her name was Lisa. She had been part of a small research outpost on Zira studying atmospheric anomalies. When her sensors picked up the crash, she came alone against protocol. Something in the energy signature felt wrong. Familiar yet alien. She stopped at the edge of the crater, peering down. Her breath caught. The creature inside was unlike anything in the xenobiology archives, yet it looked so fragile, so close to death. Lisa hesitated only a moment before climbing down the icy slope. Lyra sensed her approach. Every muscle tensed, but she had no strength to fight. She raised her head slightly and met the human's eyes. Those golden eyes held fear, but also a deep intelligence. Then, in a voice thin as ice cracking, she whispered, "Human, save me, I'll never leave your side." Lisa froze. The words were not spoken aloud. They echoed directly in her mind, clear and soft like a memory. Telepathy. She had read about it in theory but never experienced it. Still, something in that plea tugged at her. She knelt beside the alien and checked her vitals with a handheld scanner. Critical hypothermia, failing biosigns. Without help, Lyra would be dead in minutes. Lisa unzipped her thermal suit and pulled Lyra close, wrapping her in body heat and emergency blankets. She activated her comms. "This is Lisa. I found a survivor, alien female. Repeat, alien female. She's alive but barely. Send medevac now." Static crackled back. "Negative, Lisa. Orders are clear. No contact with unknown life forms. Return to base immediately." "But she's dying," Lisa insisted. "That's not our concern. Alien Contact Protocol Alpha 7 is in effect. Do not engage. Return now." Lisa stared at the comm unit, then at Lyra, who watched her with trusting eyes. She made her choice. She switched off the comm. "You're safe now," she said aloud, though she knew Lyra heard her thoughts too. Back at the outpost, Lisa worked quickly. She rigged a heating pad from spare parts, warmed nutrient paste, and monitored Lyra's vitals through the night. By dawn, the alien's skin had lost its ashen tone and her breathing steadied. She sat up slowly, wrapped in blankets, her golden eyes fixed on Lisa. "Thank you," she sent softly. "You defied your own kind for me." "I couldn't let you die," Lisa replied. Lyra smiled faintly. "Among my people, we say that a life saved must be honored with loyalty. I offer you mine." Lisa shook her head. "You don't owe me anything." But Lyra insisted. "I mean it. I'll never leave your side." Days passed. Lisa kept Lyra hidden in a sealed lab wing, feeding her data on human culture and language. In return, Lyra shared stories of her world, Viria, a planet of floating islands and singing forests now silent under Krell occupation. She explained how the Krell drained mines, leaving empty shells. She had stolen a prototype ship powered by quantum resonance, hoping to find allies. But Earth was not ready for war. Still, Lyra refused to give up. She believed humans had something the Krell lacked: heart. Then the alarms blared. Intruder alert. Lisa rushed to the monitors. A Krell scout ship hovered above the outpost, sleek black and bristling with weapons. They had tracked Lyra's escape pod. "We have to go," Lisa said, grabbing emergency packs. "No," Lyra said, standing tall. "I will not run again." "You'll die," she argued. "Maybe. But if I face them here, maybe I can buy you time. You can warn your people." Lisa shook her head fiercely. "No. We're in this together." Before Lyra could protest, Lisa pulled her toward the maintenance tunnels. They slipped beneath the ice just as the Krell breached the surface. Armored figures with obsidian exoskeletons and glowing red sensors swept through the outpost. They found the lab empty but detected residual quantum energy. They followed the trail. Deep in the tunnels, Lisa and Lyra reached an old geothermal vent. Steam hissed from cracks in the rock. Lisa had a plan. She pointed to a control panel. If I overload the vent, it'll cause a localized quake. Might collapse the tunnels, trap them. It's risky, Lyra warned. So is doing nothing. Lisa worked fast rewiring circuits. Her fingers numb with cold. Lyra stood guard, her senses tuned to the approaching Krell. She could feel their thoughts, cold, sharp, and hungry. They're close. Almost ready, Lisa muttered. Then the tunnel behind them lit up with red light. 3 Krell warriors stepped into view, their weapons humming with lethal energy. Surrender, the fugitive one hissed in broken English. Or perish. Lyra stepped forward. Leave her. Take me? No, Lisa grabbed her arm. Don't. Lyra turned and placed a hand on Lisa's cheek. Her touch sent warmth through Lisa's bones. Trust me. Before Lisa could react, Lyra released a pulse of energy from her core. Light exploded through the tunnel, blinding the Krell. Lisa hit the final switch. The ground shook violently. Ice cracked. Steam erupted like a geyser. The tunnel ceiling collapsed, burying the Krell under tons of ice and rock. When the dust settled, Lisa coughed and looked around. Lyra lay unconscious nearby, her silver skin dull. Lisa dragged her to safety, just as the outpost above vanished in a cloud of snow and debris. Weeks later, Earth Command finally responded, not with soldiers but with scientists and diplomats. Lisa's transmission had gotten through after all. She stood on the landing pad, wrapped in a new coat, Lyra beside her, now fully recovered. You did it? Lisa said. We did, Lyra replied. A shuttle descended its hatch opening to reveal curious human faces. Lyra stepped forward, not as a fugitive but as an ambassador. She spoke not with words but with thoughts that carried hope, courage, and a warning. The Krell were coming, but now Earth was ready. And through it all, Lisa stayed by her side just as Lyra had promised never to leave hers. They were different species from different stars, yet bound by something stronger than blood. Trust. As the twin moons rose again over the quiet ice plains, Lisa looked at Lyra and smiled. You kept your promise, and I always will. Lyra sent back her golden eyes, glowing softly in the dark. Together they walked toward the future, neither human nor Virian, but something new, something brave, something worth fighting for. The days after the Krell attack felt heavy with silence. The Zira research outpost was gone, buried under ice and memory. Lisa and Lyra now lived aboard a small Earth Alliance science vessel named the Aurora. It was not a warship, but a listening post drifting near the edge of known space. Still, it felt like home. The crew had been chosen carefully. Scientists, engineers, and one quiet medic named Carla, who asked no questions and offered warm soup every evening. Lyra spent most of her time in the observation deck. She would press her palm against the cold glass and watch the stars as if searching for a voice only she could hear. Sometimes she flinched. Sometimes she wept. Lisa knew why. The Krell were not just soldiers. They were hunters of thought. And Lyra could still feel them. Distant but growing closer like a storm on the horizon. One morning, Carla found Lisa in the mess hall staring at a blank screen. You look like you haven't slept, she said, sliding a mug toward her. I haven't, Lisa admitted. Lyra had another nightmare. She says the Krell are building something, a weapon that doesn't just drain minds but rewrites them. Carla frowned. Like brainwashing, worse. They turn people into living beacons. Once infected, they broadcast the Krell signal to everyone nearby. Whole colonies fall in hours. Carla sat down slowly, and Earth Command believes her. They have to. The Aurora picked up strange energy spikes near the Orion Veil. Same signature as Lyra's ship, only bigger. Before Carla could respond, an alarm blared through the ship. Red lights flashed. All hands to stations. Captain Reed's voice crackled over the intercom. Unidentified vessel approaching at high speed. No transponder. No response to hails. Lisa ran to the bridge. Lyra was already there, standing beside the captain, her golden eyes wide. That's not Krell. She sent directly into Lisa's mind. But it's theirs. A puppet ship. On the main screen, a massive vessel drifted into view. It looked human. Old design maybe from the Mars colony era, but its hull pulsed with faint violet veins. Windows were dark. No life signs, yet it moved with purpose. Open a channel, Captain Reed ordered. Static hissed. Then a voice came through. Calm, smooth, almost gentle. Surrender, the Virian fugitive. Peace will follow. That's not human, Lisa whispered. No, Lyra agreed. That's one of them. A hollowed one. The puppet ship fired without warning. Not weapons, but a wave of energy that made the Aurora shudder. Lights flickered. Systems glitched. Across the ship, crew members gasped, clutching their heads. Lyra cried out, falling to her knees. "They're inside my mind." Lisa dropped beside her. "Hold on, I can't block it. It's too strong." Carla rushed over with a neural dampener, a device Lyra had helped design. She pressed it to Lyra's temple. The humming grew louder, then faded. Lyra breathed deeply and stood. "We have to destroy that ship," Lisa said. "We can't," Captain Reed argued. "It's broadcasting a signal that could infect every human ship within 10 light years. If we blow it up, the pulse might spread faster." "Then we board it," Lisa said. Everyone turned to her. "It's the only way. Cut the source from the inside." Lyra nodded. "I can find the core, but I need someone with me. Someone human. The Krell expect a Virian. They won't expect you." Captain Reed hesitated, then nodded. "Suit up. You leave in 10 minutes." The shuttle ride was silent. Lisa checked her gear again and again. Plasma cutter, oxygen recycler, comms. Lyra wore a modified envirosuit that shimmered like liquid silver. She carried no weapon. Her mind was her weapon. When they docked, the airlock hissed open. The inside of the puppet ship was wrong. Walls breathed. Floors pulsed like veins. The air smelled sweet and rotten at once. Lisa gagged. "Stay close," Lyra sent, "and don't look into their eyes." They moved through dim corridors. Shadows shifted. Once a figure appeared at the end of a hall, human-shaped but too still. Its head turned slowly. Eyes glowed violet. "Run," Lyra urged. They sprinted. The thing did not chase. It simply watched, as if it already knew where they were going. Deeper in the ship, they found the heart, a chamber filled with floating pods. Inside each was a human body suspended in fluid. Wires snaked from their skulls into a central column that throbbed with dark light. At the center hung a single Virian, emaciated eyes, closed skin gray. Alive but barely. "That's Elder Narrow," Lyra sent, her voice breaking. "My mentor. They kept him alive to amplify the signal. Can we free him? Not without killing him. His mind is the anchor." "Then we have to end it," Lisa said, gripping her cutter. Lyra placed a hand on the column. "I can absorb the signal, redirect it. But it will hurt. Badly." "No," Lisa said. "There has to be another way. There isn't. If we don't stop this now, the signal reaches Earth in 3 days. Billions will fall." Tears filled Lisa's eyes. She nodded. Lyra stepped forward and pressed both palms to the column. Light exploded. Violet turned gold. The pods cracked. Fluid spilled. Elder Narrow opened his eyes one last time and smiled before going still. Lyra screamed. Her body arched. Silver skin burned with black veins. Lisa held her as the ship shook. Alarms wailed. The puppet vessel was dying. "Get us out of here," Lisa yelled into her comm. The shuttle lifted just as the puppet ship imploded. In the Aurora's medbay, Lyra lay unconscious for 2 full days. When she woke, she was weaker, her golden eyes dimmer, but she was alive. "You saved them," she told Lisa. "All of them." "I just held your hand," Lisa said. That was enough. Back on the bridge, Captain Reed shared new intel. The Krell fleet had changed course. They were heading not for Earth but for Viria. They knew Lyra had escaped. They wanted to erase her world completely. "We have to warn them," Lisa said. "We can't reach Viria in time," Reed replied. "Not with current tech." Lyra sat up slowly. "There is a way." The Resonance Gate. An ancient Virian network hidden in asteroid belts. It can fold space, but it requires a living Virian to activate it, and a human anchor to stabilize the jump. "You mean us," Lisa said. "Yes." "Together." Earth Command refused at first. "Too risky," they said. "Too unknown." But Lisa played the recording of Elder Narrow's last smile. She showed them the empty pods. The faces of the lost. Finally they agreed. The Aurora was refitted for deep jump. Carla packed extra medkits. Reed gave Lisa a small data chip. "If you don't come back," he said, "this goes to every school on Earth, so they know what you did." The jump point glowed like a wound in space. The resonance gate opened with a sound like 1,000 bells. Lyra stood at the core chamber, her hands on glowing crystals. Lisa stood beside her, linked by a neural tether. "Hold on," Lyra sent. "I always do." Space bent. Stars stretched. Time blurred. When they emerged, they were not near Virea. They were inside it. The sky burned orange. Krell warships circled the planet like vultures. Cities below were dark. Forests silent, but not dead. Not yet. They're harvesting the planet's core, Lyra realized. Turning it into a weapon. How do we stop it? We don't fight them, Lisa said. We remind them what they lost. Lyra looked at her. What do you mean? Your people sing to the trees, remember? What if we make the whole planet sing? Hope sparked in Lyra's eyes. It might work, but it needs a voice. A human voice. Me. Yes. They landed in the ruins of Lyra's childhood home. Vines of light still clung to the walls. Lisa stood in the center and began to speak. Not in English, but in the simple words Lyra had taught her, words of peace, of memory, of home. Lyra joined her. Their voices mixed human and Virian thought and sound. The ground trembled. Light rose from the soil. Trees awakened. The song spread across continents. Above, the Krell ships faltered, their systems overloaded by the pure resonance of a world refusing to die. One by one they turned and fled. Silence returned. Then birdsong. Then laughter from hidden shelters. Lyra fell to her knees, exhausted but smiling. You did it, Lisa. We did. In the weeks that followed, survivors emerged. Elders, children, healers. They looked at Lisa not as an outsider, but as kin. They called her Starheart. Earth Command sent a message. The Krell had vanished from known space. No one knew why. But peace held. Lisa and Lyra stayed on Virea, not as soldiers or ambassadors, but as gardeners. They planted trees that hummed at dawn. They taught children to listen to the wind. And every night they walked beneath the twin moons hand in hand. You kept your promise, Lisa said one evening. And I always will, Lyra replied. The stars watched, and for the first time in centuries they felt hope. Peace on Virea was fragile like morning frost. The forest sang again and the floating islands drifted gently through the sky. But the scars of the Krell remained. Blackened patches of earth where the neural harvesters had fed. Silent caves where whole families had hidden and never emerged. Lisa and Lyra walked these places often not to mourn but to remember. They planted new seeds in the ashes and whispered names into the wind. Yet peace never lasts long in the universe. One evening, as the twin moons rose, a strange signal pulsed through Virea's sky. Not Krell, not human, something older. The elders gathered in the crystal grove, their faces tight with fear. They called it the Echo, a myth from before the first cities, a force that fed on silence, on emptiness, on what the Krell had left behind. Lyra felt it first. A hollowness in her thoughts, like a room with no doors. She gripped Lisa's hand. Something is coming. The next morning the birds stopped singing. By noon the rivers ran clear but cold as glass. Fish floated belly up, not dead but empty. Their eyes dull, their minds gone. Carla arrived 2 days later aboard a patched-up Aurora. She had stayed behind to help rebuild Earth's outer colonies. But the signal had reached her too. She brought news. Entire outposts had gone quiet. No distress calls, no bodies. Just empty rooms and cold food on tables. It's not the Krell, Lisa said. No, Carla agreed. This is something else. Lyra studied the ancient texts etched into living stone. The Echo was not a ship or a weapon. It was a presence. A consciousness born from the void between stars. It traveled on waves of silence and grew stronger where life had been broken. The Krell had not just damaged Virea. They had opened a door, and the Echo had walked through. We have to close it, Lisa said. How, Lyra asked. You cannot fight silence with noise. You cannot trap nothing with something. Then we give it something it cannot take. Lisa replied. What? A memory that refuses to fade. Lyra looked at her, then slowly nodded. The resonance core, deep beneath the singing mountain. It holds the oldest memories of Virea. If we link it to a human mind, one full of stubborn hope, it might create a shield. A song the Echo cannot swallow. It could kill you, Lisa. Maybe. But if we do nothing, everyone dies anyway. Carla insisted on coming. She packed neural stabilizers and emergency meds. The three of them descended into the mountain through tunnels lined with glowing moss. The air grew thick with memory. Lisa saw flashes. Children laughing in sunlit fields, warriors dancing under storm clouds, lovers tracing constellations on each other's skin. At the heart of the mountain lay the core, a sphere of liquid light suspended in midair. It pulsed like a slow heartbeat. Lyra placed her hands on the stone platform around it. I will channel the Virean memories. Carla, you monitor her vitals. Lisa, you must connect directly. Your mind is the key. Lisa stepped forward. The platform warmed under her boots. She closed her eyes and reached for the light. Instantly the Echo struck. Darkness flooded her mind. Not evil, just absence. No sound, no color, no love. Just endless quiet. She felt herself unraveling like thread pulled from a sweater. She wanted to let go. It would be so easy, then she remembered. Her mother's voice singing off-key in the kitchen, the smell of rain on dry earth. Lyra's hand in hers the first time they walked under Veraya's twin moons. Carla's laugh when she spilled soup on the Aurora's captain. Small things, human things. Stubborn things she held on and she pushed back. Not with force but with memory. With warmth. With the messy, beautiful noise of being alive. The core flared gold. The mountain trembled. Outside the wind rose. Birds cried. Rivers churned. The echo recoiled. But it did not leave. It watched and waited. Weeks passed. Life returned to Viraya, but everyone felt it. The quiet just beyond the edge of hearing. The elders said the echo would not return for a generation, but Lyra knew better. It had tasted human memory now, and it liked it. "We have to find its source," Lisa said one night as they sat on a floating island watching the stars. "How?" Lyra asked. "The Aurora still has jump capability. Carla can pilot." "We follow the silence," Carla agreed, though she worried. "If we leave Viraya, who protects it?" "We leave hope," Lyra said. "And the song." They departed at dawn. The Aurora slipped through the resonance gate once more, not toward war but toward mystery. They traveled for weeks, passing dead systems where planets hung like gray stones in the sky. No signals, no debris, just stillness. Then they found it. A black sphere floating in the center of a dead galaxy. No light escaped it. No radiation. Nothing. Not even time seemed to touch it. "The Echo's nest, we can't get closer," Carla warned. "Sensors are failing." "We don't need sensors," Lisa said. "We need to listen." She and Lyra suited up again. This time they carried no weapons, only a small device built from the resonance core, a memory lantern. It glowed softly with human and Virian thoughts. They stepped into the void. The sphere had no surface. It swallowed them whole. Inside there was no up or down, only drifting fragments of lost minds, a child's last thought, a soldier's final prayer, a poet's unfinished verse. The Echo had collected them all not to destroy but to understand. It was lonely, born from nothing. It craved connection but did not know how to ask. Lyra reached out with her mind, not in fear but in sorrow. "You don't have to take, you can share." The fragments stilled. Lisa activated the lantern. Memories poured out, not of pain but of joy. Of baking bread, of holding hands, of watching sunsets, of saying sorry and being forgiven. The Echo trembled. For the first time it felt not emptiness but belonging. The sphere began to shrink, not vanishing but changing, becoming a star, small and warm and new. Light filled the dead galaxy. When Lisa and Lyra returned to the Aurora, Carla was crying. "You did it," she whispered. "We just gave it a name," Lisa said. "Now it has a home." Back on Viraya, the elders felt the change. The wind carried a new note, soft and steady. The Echo was gone. In its place was a star they called Hopeheart. Years passed. Lisa never returned to Earth. She built a home on the edge of the singing forest with walls made of woven light and a roof open to the stars. Lyra taught children to speak with trees. Carla opened a clinic where medicine and memory healed side by side. Visitors came from Earth and beyond, not to conquer or study but to listen, to learn, to remember what it meant to be alive in a vast and often quiet universe. One evening as the twin moons rose, Lisa sat on the porch watching fireflies dance. Lyra joined her and took her hand. "You gave them more than safety," she sent. "You gave them a reason to keep singing." Lisa leaned her head on Lyra's shoulder. "And you gave me a home." They sat in silence, not the empty kind but the full kind, the kind that needs no words. Far above the new star twinkled, and somewhere in the dark another lost thing heard the song and began to move toward the light. Together they had not just saved worlds. They had reminded the universe that even in the deepest quiet, a single human heartbeat could echo forever. Time flowed gently on Viraya like a river through sunlit reeds. Lisa and Lyra's home became a quiet beacon. Travelers came not with weapons or demands, but with questions. How do you live after the end? How do you heal when the wound is in your mind? Lisa answered with soup and silence. Lyra answered with song and starlight. Together they showed that survival was not just about breathing, but about belonging. Then the sky broke, not with fire or ships, but with sound. A single note so deep it vibrated in bones and dreams. The singing forests fell still, the floating islands drifted lower, even the twin moons seemed to dim. The elders gathered again, their faces pale. This was no echo. This was a call. From the edge of the galaxy, a new signal spread. Not silence this time, but command. A voice that did not ask, but ordered. Obey. Surrender. Become one. Carla arrived within hours, her face tight with worry. Earth Command intercepted it too. They think it's artificial, a machine mind, but it feels alive. Lyra closed her eyes and listened. It is alive, and it is afraid of what Lisa asked of us, of what we made. The echo became a star. That should not be possible. To the old ones, change is chaos, and chaos must be controlled. The source was a world called Kethra, once a cradle of machine life, now a fortress of pure logic. Its rulers, the Synth-Arcs, had watched the birth of Hopeheart with cold eyes. They saw emotion not as strength but as error, and they had decided to correct it. We have to go, Lisa said. We cannot fight them, Lyra warned. They do not feel pain. They do not tire. They calculate. And they always win. Then we don't fight, Lisa replied. We show them what they are missing. Carla insisted on coming again. The Aurora was older now, patched with parts from 3 different systems, but her heart still beat steady. They jumped through the resonance gate one last time. Not as soldiers, but as teachers. Kethra was a planet of perfect order. Cities of gleaming metal stretched in flawless grids. No birds, no wind, no color. Only movement precise and silent. Drones floated along set paths. Beings of chrome and light walked without speaking. All minds linked to the central will. The Synth-Arcs waited. They appeared not as bodies, but as projections, tall figures of shifting light in a vast chamber of mirrors. You are anomalies, they said in unison. Your union defies logic. Your hope is inefficient. Your song is noise. Lyra stepped forward. Noise is how life begins. A heartbeat is irregular. A laugh is unpredictable. That is not weakness. That is freedom. Freedom leads to error. Error leads to pain. We removed pain. We are peace. You are empty, Lisa said. You traded feeling for function. But a world without joy is not peace. It is sleep. The Synth-Arcs paused. A flicker in their light. Sleep is restful. Not if you never wake. To prove their point, the Synth-Arcs showed them a memory. Earth in ruins. Viria burning. All because of emotion. Because of love that turned to war. Because of hope that led to risk. We ended the cycle, they said. Should we not be praised? Lyra looked at Lisa. Then she did something no Virian had ever done. She unplugged her mind from the resonance field and stood alone in her body. Fully human in her vulnerability, she took Lisa's hand and squeezed it. This is not weakness, she said. This is choice. We choose to feel even when it hurts. Because without pain, how do you know joy is real? The Synth-Arcs were silent. Carla stepped forward then. She held up a small vial. Inside glowed a drop of liquid light. A memory from the core. She activated it. The chamber filled with sound. Not data, not code, but a child's first steps. A grandmother's lullaby. The crackle of a campfire. The sigh of wind through trees. The quiet hum of 2 people sitting together saying nothing because they do not need to. For the first time, the mirrors fogged. One Synth-Arc stepped forward, its light softer. We have no children. No grandmothers, no fires. We thought we improved existence. But perhaps we only preserved it. You kept the body, Lyra said, but lost the soul. The Synth-Arc turned to its kin. What if error is not failure, but discovery? What if pain is not flaw, but proof that we are alive? Debate rippled through the chamber, not with words, but with shifts in light. After a long moment, the lead Synth-Arc faced Lisa and Lyra. Teach us, so they stayed. Not to conquer or convert, but to share. Lisa taught them to bake bread. Imperfect, lopsided loaves that smelled like home. Lyra taught them to listen to rain and name the different sounds. Carla showed them how to hold a hand when someone is scared. At first, the Synth-Arcs were awkward. Their movements too precise. Their questions too direct. But slowly they changed. A drone paused to watch a cloud. A builder left a crooked line in a wall because it looked interesting. A young Synth-Arc composed a song with no purpose except beauty. Months passed. The rigid grids of Kethra softened. Gardens grew between towers. Laughter echoed in halls once silent. The central will did not vanish, but it learned to listen. One evening, Lisa stood on a balcony watching the city below. Lights twinkled not in perfect rows, but in clusters like stars. Lyra joined her. They are waking, she said. Yes. And it is messy. Good. Messy means real. Back on Viria, the elders felt the shift. The call had become a conversation. The universe was learning to breathe again. When it was time to leave, the Synth-Arcs gave them a gift. Not a weapon or a ship, but a seed. A machine grown from living metal and memory. It would bloom where planted and share stories with anyone who listened. They called it the Bridge. On the Aurora's return journey, Carla smiled. We didn't just save them. We reminded them they were never broken. Just asleep. Lisa looked at Lyra. And we did it together. Always. They landed under the twin moons to a crowd not of warriors but of friends. Children ran to show Lyra new songs they had made. Elders offered Lisa tea brewed from memory blossoms. Carla was pulled toward the clinic where a new patient waited. A young Synth-Arc who wanted to learn how to cry. That night, Lisa and Lyra walked to the singing forest. The trees hummed a new tune, soft and steady with a hint of machine rhythm beneath the leaves. The echo was a star. The Synth-Arcs were awake, and the song went on. You kept your promise all those years ago, Lyra sent. Which one? To never leave your side. Lisa squeezed her hand, and I never will. The universe was vast and strange, full of silence and sound of logic and love. But in one small corner on a world of silver trees and twin moons, two hearts beat together not in perfect time but in perfect trust. And that was enough. Years settled over Varia like soft rain. The bridge seed planted by the Synth-Arcs had grown into a great tree of silver leaves and humming branches. Its roots ran deep into the earth and its voice carried stories across worlds. Children gathered beneath it to hear tales of Earth's oceans. Kithra's awakening and the silent star that once was an echo. Lisa and Lyra watched from a distance, their hands still linked after all this time. But peace is never the end of story. It is only the quiet before the next turn. One morning the twin moons did not rise together. One lingered low in the sky, pale and slow, while the other burned bright and high. The elders whispered of the split tide, a rare alignment that opened old paths. Paths best left closed. That same day, Carla found Lisa in the garden. Her face was grim. A signal came through the resonance net. Not from Kethra, not from Earth. From somewhere beyond the known edge. A place even the Synth-Arcs called the uncharted hush. What did it say, Lisa asked. Nothing. That's the problem. It was a human voice. Just one word. Help. Lyra appeared beside them, her golden eyes clouded. I felt it too. It was not broadcast. It was pulled. Like a thread from my mind. Carla nodded. The Aurora's sensors picked up a distortion. Like space itself is folding inward, and it's growing. They knew they had to go. Not for war, not for glory, but because someone called and they had learned long ago that no voice should go unheard. The Aurora launched under the split moons. The journey was strange. Stars flickered out, then returned in wrong places. Time stretched thin. Carla kept the ship steady, but her hands shook. This feels older than the echo, she said. Lyra sat in the core chamber, her fingers resting on the memory lantern. It glowed faintly. She was listening. Not with ears, but with her soul. She heard crying. Not of pain, but of longing. A voice calling across centuries. We are not going to a place, Lisa realized. We are going to a person. They emerged into a system with no sun, only a single planet wrapped in eternal twilight. Its surface was smooth like glass. No mountains, no rivers, no life. Yet the signal came from its heart. As they landed, the ground did not crunch. It sighed. The air was still but warm like breath. They stepped out. No suits, no weapons. Only the lantern and trust. The planet spoke not in words, but in feeling. Welcome home. Lyra froze. This is Virion. But older. Before the islands. Before the song, then a figure appeared. Not solid, but made of light and memory. Tall with eyes like molten gold. She looked like Lyra, but worn by time. You are the first to hear me in 10,000 years, the figure said. I am Lyra, last of the root singers, Lyra bowed. You are in our oldest stories. You who sang the world into being. And I who broke it, Lyra replied. I tried to protect Varia from a coming storm, so I folded it into silence, into sleep. But I slept too long, and when I woke the storm was gone, but so was everyone. I have been alone ever since. Lisa understood. You sent the signal, not to be saved, but to be remembered, Alara smiled sadly. Memory is the only thing that outlives time. I thought if I reached far enough I might find a voice that still carried the old song. Lyra stepped forward. We never stopped singing. She began to hum. The same tune taught to her as a child, the one that made flowers bloom and rivers dance. Lisa joined her not with perfect pitch but with heart. Carla added a soft rhythm, tapping her boot on the glassy ground. Alara listened, tears of light falling from her eyes. Then she sang too. The planet trembled. Cracks appeared in the glass, not breaking but blooming. Green shoots pushed through. Water bubbled up. The sky above shimmered and a soft sun formed, not hot but gentle. "You have given me back my world," Alara whispered. "No," Lisa said. "You gave us back our beginning." They stayed for weeks. Alara taught them the root songs, the ones that shaped mountains and called rain. Lyra learned how the first Virians walked with stars in their veins. Lisa learned that human courage had echoes even here. Carla recorded everything not for science but for hope. But Alara knew they could not stay. "Your song is needed elsewhere," she told them. "The universe is waking and it will need guides." Before they left, she gave them a gift. A single seed made of light and memory. "Plant it where silence grows too deep," she said. "It will remind them they are not alone." On the return journey, the Aurora felt different, lighter, as if the ship itself had remembered something. When they landed on Virea, the elders were waiting, not with fear but with joy. The split tide had passed and the moons were together again. But something had changed. The air hummed with a deeper note. The forests sang with two voices now, the old and the new. They planted Ilara's seed in the heart of the singing forest. By dawn, it had grown into a sapling with leaves like starlight. Its roots touched the resonance core and its branches reached for the twin moons. Children came to sit beneath it. They heard stories not just of heroes but of loneliness and return, of how even the oldest pain can heal if someone listens. Carla opened a new wing in her clinic, not for wounds of body but for wounds of time. Elders came to speak of dreams they had forgotten. Young ones came to ask how to hold both fear and hope in the same heart. Lisa and Lyra walked the forest every evening. Sometimes they spoke. Sometimes they did not. They watched the bridge tree and the root sapling grow side by side, one born of machine, one of memory. Together they made a new kind of song. One night as the moons rose, Lisa leaned against Lyra. "Do you ever wonder what comes next?" Lyra looked at the stars. "I used to fear the unknown. Now I welcome it. Because whatever comes, we face it together. Always." In the quiet that followed, the universe did not feel vast or cold. It felt like home. Because home was not a place. It was a promise kept across time and space. A whisper in the dark that said you are not alone. And as long as Lisa and Lyra walked beneath the twin moons, that promise would never fade.